some significant news about the situation regarding Sir Alan Bates, who, of course, fought tirelessly over more than 20 years to seek justice for the victims of the Post Office Horizon scandal. What I can reveal this morning is that Sir Alan himself has reached a settlement with the government over his own multi-million pound compensation claim. Now, Sir Alan has been very vocal publicly in criticising the pace and the progress of the government's efforts to award redress to those who were the victims of the Horizon IT scandal. As we know, more than a dozen people took their own lives. Hundreds of people were wrongfully convicted and sent to prison over this faulty software system, which we now know the bosses of the Post Office at the time and the Japanese company Fujitsu, which supplied that software, were aware of its potential flaws. Now, as I understand it, Sir Alan, who described an offer that he had received in May as a take-it-or-leave-it offer, he has received a payout which I understand to be worth between £4 and £5 million. That amounts to just under half of his total claim. Now, the government has given me a statement this morning saying we pay tribute to Sir Alan Bates for his long record of campaigning on behalf of victims and have now paid out over £1.2 billion to more than 9,000 victims. We can confirm that Sir Alan's claim has reached the end of the scheme process and been settled. I should also point out that I've tried to reach Sir Alan for comment on this development and have been unable to do so. So we'll keep trying to reach him to see if he wants to provide a response to the fact that the government has now confirmed that his own claim has been settled.
As ever, a massive scoop, Mark. Congrats on that. What are the implications for other claimants? Are these things done collectively or individually?
Well, originally, Sir Alan was, in so many ways, a pioneer in terms of fighting for justice for the victims of the Post Office scandal. Originally, he and about 550 other former sub-postmasters took the Post Office to court, received what was called a group compensation order of about £58 million. But after legal fees, that was whittled down to just £12 million. That then prompted the government to set up a further redress scheme, which is being handled on an individual case-by-case basis. And I should point out that it's not just Sir Alan who has complained bitterly about this compensation process. A number of other very high-profile former sub-postmasters have also said that the offers that they've received were inadequate and that they haven't materialised at all. So there are still a large number of other claimants from this process who are waiting to receive their money, and I don't think there's anyone who would agree or argue that those payments aren't long overdue.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's worth reminding everyone, and I'm sure we don't need reminding, let's be honest, about, what this is about. I think the thing that got me about this story is that the Post Office workers were people who were like pillars of their local community. They were like central to their high streets. They were small business owners, not earning buckets of money, but doing a job that they felt was worthwhile, and they had standing within their community. And I think that's why it kind of destroyed these people's lives so much, that they were seen as thieves, right? And it's the criminal stuff that came with that, but it's also the reputational damage that it came to these people as well, who, like, you know what the Post Office is like in your sort of high street, whether it's in a pharmacy or in its own building, you know the person in there, that they're part of your daily life, right?
Absolutely. Hundreds of people had their livelihoods destroyed, but as you say, they had their reputations within their local communities left in ruins. No amount of money obviously can repair that damage. But of course, as we see with this case involving Sir Alan, and I think it's worth pointing out that Sir Alan will probably receive the largest of any of the individual sums being paid out by the government in compensation over the Horizon scandal.
That part I find really interesting, and I don't know all of the legals of this, but I can totally see how we'd all sit here and say he almost deserves more. Maybe many of the other postmasters would almost say that because of the leading role he's played to get to this point. But a settlement, surely, won't be based on who's been the most effective campaigner. It'll be based on the extent to which they were wronged. And in that regard, if you're saying this is going to be done equally, then the government might be having to pay £4 to £5 million to quite a lot of people.
Yeah, don't forget, Wilfred, that the Post Office is a publicly owned company. It's subsidised by the state, and the Post Office's own finances have been in a pretty parlous state for a very long period of time. There's a new management team in place now which is trying to turn the Post Office's commercial performance around. But but the government, as you say, is facing some pretty hefty claims. They say they've paid out over £1.2 billion to over 9,000 victims. And as I say, I suspect that Sir Alan's compensation payment will be the largest of the lot.